So, blacks have no power? The George Floyd case? Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logic Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So, you know that anytime blacks are called out on their racist behavior and racist attitudes, they will promptly say that, well, we can't be racist because we don't have any power. But then they will consistently exercise a whole bunch of power in society that they claim they don't have. Now, there are numerous examples of this, but I'm going to talk about the George Floyd case, because George Floyd case is a perfect example of black basically using power in America to create influence. Anyway, as we know that the case is coming on, and Derek Chauvin was found guilty of the murder of George Floyd. Now, I say the evidence, if you look at all the evidence is clear. George Floyd killed himself, and he killed himself when he consumed 4 times the lethal level of a drug, 4.5 times the lethal level of a drug that causes breathing problems. Okay, now, matter of fact, there's evidence of all. There's a documentary called "The Fall of Minneapolis" that goes over all the evidence, goes over the whole case, and it shows that George Floyd was guilty of killing himself. Of course, people that disagree and they be upset, but the fact is, the evidence doesn't lie. Again, if you just look at the body cam footage, just the body cam footage alone shows that, give us evidence. First of all, George Floyd was high as a kite. Now, the toxicologist that the family hired said that there was no drugs in the system. Where you watch the body cam footage, George Floyd was high as the International Space Station. That's how high this dude was. Okay, he was also being uncooperative. The police weren't trying to harm him. He was being uncooperative. Matter of fact, there were 2 people that was with him, a male and a female. Both of them, at some point in time in the body cam footage, told George to just listen to the people, and he was still being uncooperative. Again, he was complaining about he couldn't breathe long before he was on the ground. Long before he was on the ground. They put him in a car, he couldn't breathe, he was claustrophobic. They took him out of the car, he couldn't breathe. He asked to lay down because he couldn't breathe because of having such high levels of fentanyl in his system that he ingests of his own. Okay? And then there was the knee to the neck. They say that George Floyd was choked to death, even though he was complaining about he couldn't breathe long before he was on the ground, but they claimed that he was choked to death by a knee from Derek Chauvin. Here's the problem with that. If you want to choke somebody out, put somebody in a chokehold and you choke them out, you don't apply pressure to the sides of the back of their neck. Okay? You apply the pressure to the front of the neck to cut off the air to the brain so that the person blacks out, and you put them into sleep. So how does he kill George Floyd with a knee to the neck, even if it was on the neck? But then the evidence showed that his knee was really on his shoulder, not the neck. Now, the prosecution they showed you viewpoint and angles and pictures that gave him the view angle to appear that the knee was on his neck. But if you watch the video, it was on the shoulder. But still, you don't choke someone out by applying pressure to the side of the neck, as they claim. Nobody's going to stop being able to breathe because you apply pressure to the side of the neck. You have to cut off the circulation in the front, not the side. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how George Floyd was choked by a knee that was supposedly on the side of his neck, when no one has ever died from that technique. And I'm sorry, it's a fact. People need to get a grip of reality. Now, I've been asked this before. Some people ask me, well, are you a doctor? Are you a medical examiner? How can you say that? No, I'm not. I'm not a doctor, nor am I a medical examiner. But I have common sense. I have enough common sense to look at the facts and be able to extrapolate facts from nonsense and BS. And I have enough common sense to look at these facts and evidence of that case and say that George Floyd killed himself and it wasn't a police officer. Okay, I'm not an aeronautical engineer, but I know if I can't flap my wings and fly like a bird, because I know human beings can't do that. So if an aeronautical engineer try to tell me that I can jump off a cliff and flap my wings and fly, I'm not going to believe him, because I know it's not the case, even though I'm not an aeronautical engineer. Anyway, this is an example of mob rule in a court. Derek Chauvin was not guilty of anything, but yet this man is found guilty of quote unquote killing George Floyd when he shouldn't have been. So this is another example of how mob rule affects court decision, not based off of the facts, but based off of emotion. And another example of how black people exercise power while claiming that we don't have any power. Because clearly this was black people protesting and this being pushed in the media that influenced the decision to wrongfully convict Derek Chauvin of something he didn't do. Again, George Floyd killed himself. The evidence is clear regardless of who gets mad about it. End of story. But anyway, so when you ever hear black people cry about, well, blacks have no power, think about this and ask yourself, well, if you have no power, how did you have such influence when it came down to this court decisions and other court decisions? Anyway, y'all, as always, until next time.